Good morning, everybody, and welcome to another edition of the BG Sports Show. I'm your host, Baxter Colburn. We've got a nice little short show for you today as the Bax's Drive Time series continues. You might wonder why I sound maybe a little bit more clear than I normally do as I'm driving to work, because I usually use just my phone headphones and, just kind of throw it in and hope for the best. But I have a little different, unique setup this morning that we're going with, that we're hoping for the best, that it all works out for us this morning. So if I just the best is probably just not to ask a lot of questions about why I sound clear. So I've got a unique setup going on in my car here that we are going to hope for the best to have it work and all that jazz. So anyway, the Super Bowl, just a couple of short days away, a little over a week obviously, but the Carolina Panthers, the Denver Broncos, how do you feel about that? Do you feel like the two best teams in the NFL made it, or the two teams that deserved it made it? I mean, it's always a debate of whether or not the teams that make the Super Bowl are the best teams or not. Usually they are. And this year I think we're pretty close to that as well. I feel like the AFC was a little bit more open this year than in years past, which I think you can take one way or another from. But realistically, though, I feel like the two best teams in their respective conferences did make it because they fought hard. We saw teams rise up when they didn't look like they were going to do anything in the remainder of the year, speaking more so about Denver, and they were able to overcome adversity and showcase that they are capable of beating the big boys like Tom Brady and virtually anybody else that have gotten in their way. But Cam Newton and the Carolina Panthers against Peyton Manning and the Denver Broncos in the Super Bowl does worry me, though, and I'm going to get into that in just a moment, but first I want to take a sip of my coffee. Nothing like coffee in the morning. Anyway, so looking at this coming Super Bowl, Cam Newton continues to dominate the headlines. He continues to showcase that he is the league MVP, showcase that he is the best player around, that he knows it as well. But I feel like he's not. See, I've heard mixed debates because some folks believe that he's too showboaty, think he's too full of himself, think that he doesn't care about, giving a ball to the kids. He's doing it all for publicity. He's doing it to, just make himself seem like this great guy. Well, yes, I agree within some sense because you obviously want to make you as a professional athlete look good. You don't ever want to do anything on purpose to make yourself look stupid. Nobody, at least in my mind, I can never feel would willingly want to make themselves look like an idiot. Yet, how many times do we see people acting like idiots on a daily, weekly, monthly, secondly basis that are acting like idiots because they want to? But I'm not here to give you life coaching advice. I'm here to talk to you about sports. So I think Cam Newton is doing all the right things. I don't believe that he is going out of his way to draw extra attention to himself. I think that he is going through probably the best year that he will ever have in his life. And I don't feel that he wants to ever stop living in this year. Now, do I think the Panthers will be just as dangerous next year as they are this year? I think they're going to be better next year, honestly. I think, depending on if they go out and sign a few people. It also depends. If they win the Super Bowl, there's always that immediate factor of, well, will some of the veterans retire on a high note? Hey, won the Super Bowl. I'm out. Thanks, guys. It's been real. Or is it the, hey, we lost the Super Bowl. Hey, I want to come back one more year. I want to come back and show that I am still capable of, contributing to my team. As those of you that are Green Bay Packer fans know, that we've seen that with Julius Peppers. We've seen that with all different kinds of professional athletes throughout their careers. But that does raise a good question, though. What if Carolina does lose? Does that mean that all of their bandwagon fans are going to be gone? Does that mean, they're not going to be that great next year? I doubt it. If you're looking at this Super Bowl purely from a storyline perspective, it's the best way for two different things to happen. It's the young buck and Cam Newton taking on the old gunslinging veteran in Peyton Manning. And, the young kid's going to try to come in and upset Peyton Manning and his Broncos team, even though Peyton's not doing a whole lot to really deserve the title of, gunslinger or even really be the headline of the Super Bowl. But on the other side, you look at Peyton Manning. This could be his last game. This could be the last time we ever hear the words Omaha mentioned or anything of that nature that Peyton Manning is so notoriously known for. And that storyline, in my mind, makes me sadder than Cam Newton beating the Denver Broncos, beating Peyton Manning. Because Cam still has plenty of time left. Carolina, even if they lose maybe 3 or 4 decent players next year, are still going to be a darn good ball club. I'm excited to see what this team looks like all season long with Calvin Benjamin. I was really looking forward to seeing Calvin Benjamin play this year. I was one of those people that was going to try to draft him on my fantasy team if he was going to be free. Obviously, didn't end up working out, but I felt like Calvin Benjamin was going to be one of the best young receivers in the league this year. Probably more successful than Sammy Watkins and some of those other young guys that are in the league right now. But obviously he got hurt. Couldn't play the season, so he moves on. We all move on. Carolina has done a lot with not much in terms of offensive receivers. Cam Newton has put the team on his back. And once again, this goes back to the age-old question as well. If Cam Newton got hurt, is Carolina going to still win the Super Bowl? Is the rest of their team good enough that they could win the Super Bowl? And I think the obvious answer is yes, they could still win the Super Bowl. And you're probably saying, well, what? The defense that Carolina has put together is by far one of the best I've seen in a long time. And then you look at the offense, and then I'm just kidding, obviously. Yes, I'm joking. There's no way. There's no way. If Cam Newton goes down in this game, yes, Derek Anderson is a decent backup quarterback, but I don't trust David Anderson to take on the barrage of blitzes from the Denver Broncos defense. There's no way. If Carson Palmer, MV Palmer, had 6 turnovers forced off of him, 7 total offensive turnovers, 7 total turnovers were forced by the Panthers defense against the Cardinals. What are they going to do to Derek Anderson? Thankfully, the Panthers don't have to worry about that because Cam Newton, he'll be there. He'll be playing. He'll be dabbing it up on folks, trying to make a name for himself and prove that he is better than most folks believe he is. Now, on the other side of that, though, what exactly does Denver need to know? And I know I'm kind of jumping all over the place, but this is what you get with me in the car in the morning. We're just kind of running through thoughts here. We're not trying to settle age-old debates here. I'm just trying to give you some thoughts to think about and also just talk about sports, and have some more coffee. One moment. Good stuff. A little hot still. Anyway. So looking over at Denver, and you can ask the same old question too, except it's different now because we know what Brock Osweiler is capable of doing. If Peyton Manning gets hurt in this game, is Brock Osweiler good enough to win the Super Bowl? Maybe. But that's not what we're talking about. Peyton Manning, though, is probably his last game. Win or lose, I feel like Manning's done. And I understand the whole, if Peyton's a warrior, Peyton can come back from anything, and we've seen that. We've seen that time and time and time and time and time again. Peyton Manning is a warrior. He will fight through any situation in life, and he will kick its ass, and he will make everybody around him better. He makes everybody around him better. Regardless if he's performing at his highest level, you want to play good football for Peyton Manning. That's just how it goes. There's no way around that. So, there's a lot of different things that you can look at for this game. You can say that if Denver's defense is able to contain Cam Newton, Denver should win. But at the same time, if Carolina's defense can maintain and close down Peyton Manning, what do these two teams have left? If both teams' passing games are not working, do you turn to the run game? Denver's run game is so spotty, you could call it a cow, for God's sakes. Carolina's run game, not really there either. If Cam Newton's not running the ball, yeah, they've got okay guys at running back. I mean, we saw that all season long with Jonathan Stewart and even Mike Tolbert. But if I'm stuck in a game and I say, hey, I need a running back that's going to grind me out 60 yards and some clock time, I don't feel that confident giving the ball to Jonathan Stewart. Definitely not Ronnie Hillman, and absolutely not to the other guy because he's so irrelevant. I can't even think of his name right now, C.J. Anderson. So neither team really blows me away with their running game if Cam Newton's not part of the running game. What team do you think is going to do the best at the end of the day? Let us know your thoughts. Find us on Twitter at BG Sports Show, at Baxter Colburn. You can find me on Facebook as well. You can message us on Facebook as well if you'd like to go that route. If you go to our Facebook page, the BG Sports Show on Facebook, you can send us a direct message that way with your thoughts, or you can comment on the link when the show is posted as well. We're going to take a fast break, come back, talk more about sports, and have fun. Don't go anywhere. You're listening to the BG Sports Show. Welcome back to the BG Sports Show, presented by Sports Radio America. I'm your host, Baxter Colburn. Continuing on our drive time segment here as we're rolling through. I'm on my way to work, and traffic is just beautiful today if you are driving through Milwaukee. But the fact is that you're also going to be listening to this after the fact. Traffic is bad this morning, so just tips and hints for anybody that lives out there. If you move to a fairly large city, it's going to be bad traffic no matter where you move. I moved from Florida. Didn't have terrible traffic down in Naples where I'm originally from, but yeah, still bad. We got bad traffic because people that come down from the north, a.k.a. snowbirds, as we like to call them, are idiots driving down there. Absolute stupid. Don't know how to drive. I mean, come on, how hard is it to drive? All right, we talked in the first segment a little bit about Super Bowl, Panthers, Broncos. No, I did not offer a prediction if you're just tuning in, but we'll get to that maybe in another day or so, once we maybe get a chance to get back with David Kenyon. I want to address some of the stuff going on with the BG Sports Show right now. I know a lot of you folks are wondering what is going on. Are we going to be coming back on a full-time basis? Well, just to explain the situation to you guys a little bit better, and I know there was a Facebook post that came out about it as well a couple of days ago, but we're in the process of transitioning right now. Sam Wallace, my normal co-host, is starting his student teaching. So he is gone now, basically, from being a host. My old former host, Grant Coppersmith, is also a full-time college student and a father as well, so he has been incredibly busy. So the level of possibilities of getting either of them back for co-hosts is very probably iffy. We are in the process of trying out a new host as well, our new co-host as well for the show, depending on how we're able to do that or not. We're still trying to see if he's going to be interested in doing it or not. The projected thoughts right now is that we would do a show Tuesdays and Thursdays on Sports Radio America, so we would broadcast either Monday nights and Wednesday nights, or Tuesday mornings and Thursday mornings, depending on what we're feeling. So just so you know, we are still trying to figure it out, so that's why we're trying to still get some of these drive time shows out there for you guys. So please don't freak out. Please don't feel like we're abandoning you or we are throwing you all to the wolves or none of that stuff. No, we're not trying to do that. We promise. Like I said, we're just trying to get everything squared away on our end. The goal on all of this is to not have to completely shut the show down, because we would not want to do that at all. We would feel terrible if we had to go that route. But at the same accord, we need to do what's best for everybody involved with the show as well. So keep that in mind. And as we move along, obviously we'll keep you more informed. So go out and let us know your thoughts. Like I said, we'd love to hear from you guys as well on Twitter at Baxter Colburn, at BG Sports Show as well. And you can find all kinds of great content. Go and check out our past shows. Check out back when intern Laura was on our show if you got fantasy football stuff. David Kenyon is always popping in on our show. Fitness questions Mondays and Mondays on the BG Sports Show. No matter where you look, there's always something for you to keep you entertained. Speaking of entertained, a new topic that I want to speak with you about. A very special happy birthday this week to the man, the voice of the Milwaukee Brewers, Bob Uecker, as I'm getting ready to drive past Miller Park, so now you all know how I go to work, apparently. Yes, Bob Uecker will be turning 82 this week. Happy birthday, Bob. Grew up as a young boy listening to Bob on the radio. I listened to Bob Uecker all day, every day. Listen to Wayne Larrivee and Larry McCarron on Packer broadcasts. Ted Davis, I guess, a little bit too with Bucks broadcast, but I didn't care so much about the Bucks broadcast. I still really don't, unfortunately, which is kind of strange because I do basketball broadcasts. Anyway, that's besides the point. I'm going to talk about that for just a quick second here. Doing a broadcast by yourself is incredibly difficult. So if you are ever able to have a color commentator, good, bad, or otherwise, take them. Use them, because you need to be able to breathe. Because if you can't breathe, it makes doing a broadcast incredibly hard. And there's too much that happens. Way too much that happens. I went to a broadcast this last Friday night and was so thankful that I took along a statistician with me, because otherwise I would have missed every point that would have occurred in the first half, because my first half was spent trying to call the game / trying to figure out why the entire computer system was not working. So I pretty much missed everything that was going on in the first half. But thankfully I had somebody there taking stats for me, so that allowed me to still put together a semi-decent broadcast in the second half. It doesn't always go as well as you planned, and that's just part of the broadcast world. You need to be adaptable. You need to realize that sometimes not every broadcast you're going to do is going to sound 100% perfect or flow nicely. So when it comes to doing a broadcast, just be flexible, smile, and do your best. That's all you can do. Going back to Bob Uecker, though, for a moment. Bob Uecker has been around in baseball over 50 years, longer than some people have been alive. Whether he's been calling games or he's been playing, because he did play. He was a catcher. He played for the Brewers back in the day. He is one of the most talented individuals that I have ever had the opportunity to listen to. I've never had a chance to meet Bob. I've seen him a couple of times, but I've never got a chance to meet him. The hope is that I will be able to meet him sometime before he retires or passes. Same thing with Wayne Larrivee as well for the Green Bay Packers as well. It all depends when you think about it, when you come to the sports world, about what teams you think are going to do good. And we've seen it this year. We've seen it with the San Antonio Spurs. We've seen it with the Golden State Warriors. We've seen it with so many different things. I figured out why traffic is so bad. Because a cop pulled over a guy. And suddenly now everyone's going to drive fast again. Good Lord. Why are people... Seriously. I was stuck in bumper-to-bumper traffic for almost 15 minutes because one cop pulled over one car on the side of the road. And suddenly everybody was like, well, shoot, I better go 6 miles an hour because I would hate to get pulled over as well. He can't pull over all of us at the same time. Sorry, didn't mean to yell. But seriously, though, traffic up until that point where the car gets pulled over by the police officer, wall-to-wall, bumper-to-bumper, no one's going anywhere. Soon as you get within, 6 inches past that incident, everyone's flying 60, 70, 80 miles an hour. Stupid. Stupid, stupid, stupid. Everyone just wants a good show. Everyone wants just to see the guy that got pulled over by the cop. Ooh, what did he do? What happened? My gosh. So dumb. Sorry, needed a moment there. Anyway, going back to good teams, though. The Green Bay Packers, not exactly the best season that they were looking for. A report came out yesterday that Mike McCarthy is, quote-unquote, fed up with how Ted Thompson deals with some of his off-season protocol. And Mike McCarthy, I just want to let you know, as a Packer fan and as Packer Nation, yeah, we all know. Welcome to the party, bud. The lack of off-season moves, the lack of being able to sign up free agents, the lack of even being able to spend money. I mean, it's sad that he is terrified to spend money. I mean, Julius Peppers was a free agent that they brought in, which has worked out well. That's great. Thank you, Ted, for doing that. But how many of the times do we see throughout the course of a year or even an offseason where people are like, hey, Packers should go and sign this guy. This would be a perfect guy for a good price that could fill the need, here or there. And how many times do we ever hear the Packers go out and sign somebody? Exactly. Mike McCarthy needs to raise his voice. Ted Thompson needs to step aside. He needs to let people know that it is time for somebody else to come in. I'm fine if he still wants to hang around and do other things, but Ted Thompson does not need to be the GM of the Green Bay Packers anymore. He doesn't need to be fired. I just feel like he needs to step aside and let somebody with more capable and more... what's the best way to put this? More capable, but also more adventurous and more outgoing signing / general better interest of the team tactics take over. It's great that he's built up such a great draft class throughout the years, and we've seen so many players come through the system for the Green Bay Packers that have done fantastic, that have all been draft picks. But why is it that we still aren't winning championships? Why is it the Packers still haven't, done much? Yeah, they went to the Super Bowl almost 6 years ago now. Or why is it that we can never seem to win the NFC Championship game or the divisional game? Because we don't have the proper players. We don't have enough depth to challenge. We don't have the right players in the right positions that have experience to be a dominant force. And I think that's where Ted Thompson needs to get his head out of a place that is very dark and cold and say, all right, you know what? I'm not what's best for this team anymore. I need somebody else to step up and step in. Now, I don't think McCarthy should do the head coach GM bit, because that will be all Chip Kelly, Philadelphia, and it'll blow up and we'll all die, and I don't want that. But at the same cost, what really can be done? This is a topic that could be talked about for hours, so I'm not going to spend hours on it. I actually got to run. I appreciate all of you guys listening in, though, so thank you very much for doing that. Remember to go and check us out on Facebook. We are the BG Sports Show. Follow me on Twitter at Baxter Colburn, and find the show on Twitter at BG Sports Show as well. Drop us an email at bgsportshow@gmail.com. And for all of us here at the BG Sports Show, I'm Baxter Colburn. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you all again next time. Enjoy your Tuesday, everybody.